Good morning. This is Black Crow Walking, coming to you from Australia, and we are sharing with you A Course of Love by Mari Perron. We're up to chapter 10, verse 20. You can start anywhere and you'll get a great deal out of it. You do not realize how quickly the separated self rushes in to sabotage all movement away from separation and toward union. Many of you have recognized that you seem to minimize your chance for happiness and maximize your chance for unhappiness through the choices you would make. You look back longingly at times of happiness and wonder what went wrong and why you could not maintain that happy state. There might be many practical reasons to cite for your happiness demise, but in the loneliness that comes with its loss, you will wonder, at least briefly, why the choice for practicality needed to be made. Yet if the separated self can look back and see that it chose being right over being happy, it will congratulate itself. Despite its happiness, and say, I did the right thing. I will see it will see itself as victor over the foolish dreams of happiness and say how glad it is that it came to its senses before it was too late. Had a funny thing happen yesterday. I asked my mother whether she would rather be right or happy. And she said both. I just about spat my drink. It was so funny. To be right and happy. Yeah, right, okay. Why are we so invested in being right? Why are we so invested in being wrong? It's funny, isn't it? Our personalities are just so full of I have tos, I wanna be's. Each of you is aware of a threshold you would cross that leaves no route open for choice, for return. Ooh. Each of you is aware of a threshold you would cross that leaves no route open for return. Can't go back. That's right. And that's what happens when we break up in a relationship. For whatever right reason, and then down the track, we can't go back. That threshold is often a happiness so fulfilling that once you have opened it, you say, it will take this despair no more. For others, this threshold is the opposite, an experience of pain so great that they would rather die than continue in such a way. Addicts too that choose a different threshold wherein, after experiencing the oblivion of the separated self through drugs, alcohol, or even constant work or shopping, they refuse to return to the separated self's reality. If they cannot leave it, they will block it. Some at this threshold turn back. They deny themselves the joy or the pain or the oblivion that would make return impossible, and count themselves lucky for not going to the place from which change would become inevitable. Wow, That's full on today with the last little bit about addictions. I'm going to read it again. You do not realize how quickly the separated self rushes in to sabotage all movement away from separation and toward union. When you're coming back to yourself, beloved, when you're coming back after having given yourself away to all sorts of things, after having given away your consciousness for unconsciousness, your health for unhealth, what is it that you get out of it? Many of you have recognized that you seem to minimize your chance for happiness and maximize your chances for unhappiness. And mainly it's our thoughts that do that. It's our thoughts that convince us of things. Many of you have recognized that you seem to minimize your chance for happiness and maximize your chance for unhappiness through the choices you would make. You look back longingly at times of happiness and wonder what went wrong and why you could not maintain that happy state. There might be many practical reasons to cite for your happiness demise, but in the loneliness that comes with its loss, you will wonder, at least briefly, why the choice for practicality needed to be made. And we do. Oftentimes we choose practicality over happiness. It's your choice. You have those choices because you are the creator of your own life. And my question is, are you happy? Can you genuinely say, I am happy? And if you can't, look at your choices. Look at what you're choosing every day. You're not stuck. That's just a thought. You need to see things differently. And that can be helped with love. Love can help you. The divine can help you. Reach out. You're not alone. How can I make my life happy? Instead of this practical choice that's keeping me stuck, or the illusion of stuckness, how can I create happiness? What choices do I need to make? And the universe will keep banging away at you until you make those choices. And sometimes when you make the choices, you wonder, why didn't I do this before? It's been such a long time that I've been suffering. I'm so used to suffering, that's what I know. That's what the brain does. That's what the mind does. It tells you that this is what you know, and you're afraid of the unknown. The unknown can be very scary until you know it. Sometimes it just takes that leap of faith, doesn't it? Where you leap out into the universe and say, okay, there's got to be something better than this. Let's create it now. There might be many practical reasons to cite for your happiness demise. But in the loneliness that comes with its loss, you will wonder, at least briefly, why the choice for practicality needed to be made. Yet, if the separated self can look back and see that it chose being right over being happy, it will congratulate itself. Despite its unhappiness, and say, I did the right thing. it will see itself as victor over the foolish dreams of happiness and say how glad it is that it came to its senses before it was too late. I think about movies when I I think about this, the romance movies or the wild adventure movies where they choose to run away with their lover or they choose to not run away with their lover. Oh my goodness. And they choose the practical path. And where does it end up? Are they happily ever after? Is there such a thing? Or is happiness just in this moment? I choose to be happy each moment, each day. Each of you is aware of a threshold you would cross that leaves no route open for return. This threshold is often a happiness so fulfilling that once you have experienced it, you say, I will take this despair no more. Good plan. Why would you? And yet we do. We do. That threshold is often a happiness so fulfilling that once you have experienced it, you will say, I will take this despair no more. I want the happiness, don't you? For others, this threshold is the opposite, an experience of pain so great that they would rather die than continue on in such a way. For others, I'm reading it again, this threshold is the opposite, an experience of pain so great that they would rather die than continue on such a way. Addicts too, but choose a different threshold within their experience, the oblivion of the separated self through drugs, alcohol, or work, constant work, or shopping. So many addictions out there. Maybe you're addicted to sitting in the chair watching television. Who would know? And you refuse to, once this awakening happens and from the pain, they refuse to return to the separated self's reality. They cannot leave it. If they cannot leave it, they will block it out. Okay, so if they can't leave the addiction, they'll block it out. Some of this threshold, some at this threshold turn back and they go back to the drugs and the alcohol because that's what they've known all their life and they haven't known how to be happy. I know that one. I was addicted to pain once. The Pain Body by Eckhart Tolle, Chapter 5, A New Earth. It's on YouTube. Look it up. Addictions to pain. And that's pretty much what all addictions are. They deny themselves the joy of or the pain or the oblivion that would make return impossible. Count themselves lucky for not going to the place for which change would become inevitable. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Trying to get out of an addiction that's got hold of you and keeping going back to it because it's what you know. What if just for a moment we could find the unknown delicious, exciting, curious, fascinating? What if we could dive into that unknown? This formless being that we are inside ourselves is the unknown. It's always been here. It's always going to be here. Informless or in form, in whatever choice it makes to experience life. So I guess it's an invitation. If you're addicted to pain in whatever way, drugs, alcohol, whatever, it's an invitation to come back to the inside of you, to this formless being that is divinity expressing itself, divinity experiencing itself, divinity expanding itself. Or we can call it love, love expressing itself. Come back to love. Come back to love experiencing. Imagine you could be in this pure, light, fathomless, endless being. Imagine you could be aware of that which is living inside of you. And be that. Just be that. Without the personality, without the exterior life, without the needing and the wanting and the desires and the pain, the suffering, all that. Let it go. And come back inside yourself. Look inside yourself for who you really are, the truth of you. Come back to you, beloved. It's easy to come back to you. It's hard to struggle against it. It's easy to be light and love. It's hard to hurt yourself every day with pain. Come back, beloved, to the essence of you, the beauty of you, the divine of you, inside yourself, and begin to see yourself looking out through these eyes, listening with these ears, touching with these hands. I hope you have the best day ever. It's raining here. I'm in love with raindrops, so I'm happy. Until we meet again, I love you. Bye for now.